What up, YouTube? T-Moose here. Since today is the birthday of famed Western icon John Wayne, I decided to finally do it and do my top 10 favorite John Wayne movies. Because the guy's an icon. You know, he's been in so many iconic Western movies. I mean, he was one of the most iconic Western actors there is. And he's been in some, like, non-Western movies as well. But anyway. With that being said, here's my 10 favorite John Wayne movies. Alright. Coming in at number 10, I'm going to go with the film Stagecoach, which is, based on which is actually, directed by John Ford, based on a book by Ernest Hickok, starring Claire Trevor, Thomas Mitchell. You had John Carradine in this. And the, Western, of course, revolves around a story group of colorful passengers aboard the overland stagecoach bound to Lordsburg, New Mexico. And in the 1880s, you got an alcoholic publicizer played by Thomas Mitchell. This lady of ill repute played by Claire Trevor. And this, and of course, you got this timid liquor salesman played by Donald Meek, who are among the motley crew of travelers who must contend with a escape outlaw. And you got John Wayne as the Ringo Kid, who's also wanted, for murder, ends up joining the motley group. And John Wayne and John Ford have worked together loads of times. I mean, I literally got a couple of John Ford movies in this list. So, yeah. But still, this movie is really cool. It has some, cool moments, some cool action. Scored a couple of Oscar nominations and won few, including Best Actor for Thomas Mitchell, who did a great job in this. If you guys haven't really seen Stagecoach, it's a really good one. Alright. Coming in at number 9, I'm going to go with The Shooters. Directed by Don Siegel, starring a very young Ron Howard. You've got Lauren Bacall, the aforementioned John Carradine. You had Scatman Crawford.
Stay 6 feet. Look at this.
It was featured in this. Shooters is a pretty decent one. It is based on a novel by Glennon Schroephout. And in it, you got John Wayne portrays this cancer-ridden gunfighter who's hoping to die with dignity. And so, but he can't really escape his past. You got Lauren Bacall, who co-stars as his widow, who ends up writing the Diamond, who plays a widow, not his widow, but who rents the Diamond a room. And you got Ron Howard as her teenage son, who starting looking as a father figure. And there's some pretty cool. Don Siegel was a really talented filmmaker. Of course, Don Siegel was the one who gave us Dirty Harry and all. But The Shooters is a pretty decent one. If you guys haven't really seen The Shooters yet, go check that one out. I mean, Ron Howard, of course, he is best known for directing, but he has, done acting before. I mean, come on. He was Opie, Richard Cunningham. Ron Howard's been in the business for, since he was a kid. So, yeah. Anyway. Alright. Coming in at number 8, I'm going to go with The Longest Day. Directed by Ken Atkin, starring the likes of John Wayne, Henry Fonda, some Sean Connery, Eddie Albert, some really great cast members on this. And, of course, it does take place in 1944, and where the U.S. Army and Allied forces must plan a hidden invasion, landing on Normandy, France, despite bad weather. And you got John Wayne as Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin H. Vandervoort, who's this real-life CO in the 2nd Battle Line and 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment. And this is a really cool docudrama style film that was, in the style of black and white, and it's received a best. It actually Did receive a couple of Oscar nominations, including and one for cinematography and special effects and all that. This effect was pretty good at the time. I mean, obviously, it got released around a time where effects wasn't as heavy as they are today. But yeah, The Longest Day is a pretty decent one. And John Wayne was really cool. I mean, come on, Sean Connery was great. What a really cool World War II effect. All right, number 7, I'm going to go with Rio Grande. Now, here you got John Wayne. He portrays a Lieutenant Colonel Kirby York, who heads into this cavalry post on the Texas side of Rio Grande, and he ends up defending settlers against Apaches launching raids from the Mexican side of the river. And you got Claude Jarman Jr. as his 16-year-old son, who ends up not really who he hasn't really seen since he was a baby. And so also you got Maureen O'Hara, who of course John Wayne had worked with again like a couple of times. He of course plays his wife, and it's a really decent drama. It's not really much of a western or anything, but it's a nice I really quite like the father and son dynamic chemistry between Claude and John Wayne, and it's a pretty decent one. If you guys haven't really seen Rio Grande, go check that one out. Coming in at number 6, I'm gonna go with The Man Who Shot Liberty. Now you've got James Stewart as this senator Stoddard, who ends up attending the funeral of this local man named Tom Doniphan, played by John Wayne, who's this small western, and who of course lives in the small western town. And you got flashbacks. Most of it takes place during flashbacks, and we end up learning that Doniphan ended up saving Stoddard, then who's now a lawyer, who was like a lawyer and stuff. But when he was also roughed up by a crew of outlaws terrorizing the town that's led by Liberty Valance, played by Lee Marvin, who's this territory's safety ends up being hung in the balance. And of course you got Doniphan and Stoddard, who are two of the only people staying up to them. And it's another movie directed by John Ford. I mean, if you really want to look at it, John Ford and John Wayne was like the Leo DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese of that era. They've done so many stuff together. And Man Who Shot Liberty Venice is a pretty good one. If you guys haven't really seen this one, it has some cool action. Cool. John Wayne and James Stewart were both pretty cool together, and they're actually set to do a remake of this. So there's that. Anyway. Alright. Coming in at number 5, I'm going to go with Rio Bravo. Now, you got this gunslinger named John Burdett, played by Claude Atkins, who ends up killing this man at this salon. And you got John Wayne, who plays the sheriff, who ends up arresting him with the aid of the town drunk named Dude, played by real-life drunk Dean Martin. And of course, you've got Bernadette's brother Nathan, played by John Russell, who ends up coming around and indicating that he's also preparing to bust his brother out of jail if they mean necessary. And it's directed by Howard Hawks, who was also a pretty decent director. John Wayne was pretty great. Cool cat and mouse film. Type film. Claudette Atkins and John Russell were both really great, supporting players. John Wayne as a sheriff, you could really buy him as a sheriff perfectly. Never seen Rio Bravo? Go check it out. Alright. Coming in at number 4, I'm going to go with Red River. Now you got John Wayne, who portrays this headstrong guy named Thomas Dunson, who ends up starting this thriving Texas cattle ranch with the help of his faithful trial hand group not to be mistaken with the tree, named Walter Brennan, and his prestige Matt Garth, played by Montgomery Clift, who's this orphan that Dutton had taking under his wing when he was like a boy. And so, like in the need of money following the Civil War, Dutton and Matt ends up leading a cow to Missouri, but there will also get better prices and loyalty and all that. And this film was also directed by Howard Hawks, who of course directed John Wayne and a couple of other stuff. And Red River had some really cool action moments. John Wayne, probably one of his coolest performances he's done. Walter Brennan as a rogue group was pretty cool casting. If you guys never really, if you guys never really seen Red River, it's a really good John Wayne movie. We're checking out. Speaking of John Ford and Maureen O'Hara, coming in at number 3, I'm going to go with The Quiet Man. Now, John Wayne has done like 9 Western movies. Anyway, he has done like non-Western movies before, and A Quiet Man is one of them. You've got John Wayne portrays his boxer named Sean Doran, who ends up leaving America and returns to his native Ireland, hoping to buy his family's homestead and live in peace. And he ends up having a affair with this guy named Will Denner's sister, played by Maureen O'Hara. And so it's part of sport, part romance. And it's a boxing movie before Rocky became big. The Quiet Man is terrific. I mean, Maureen O'Hara, of course, she's been in sorry. Anyway, Maureen O'Hara, of course, been in Meet Me at St. Louis. I, of course, talk about my favorite Irish actors and actually, I did my 10 favorite Irish movies, and The Quiet Man was actually in that list. And Maureen O'Hara is terrific. If you guys haven't really seen The Quiet Man yet, definitely give that one a watch. And you can really buy John Wayne as a boxer perfectly. Anyway, coming in at number 2, I'm going to go with The Searcher. Now, another movie directed by John Ford, based on a novel by Alan Lee May. Anyway, of course, it's probably one of Wayne's best performances of a lifetime, as well of Ethan Edwards, who's this lonely, angry Civil War vet whose niece ends up getting kidnapped, and of course, and you got Ethan, who's on the run to find her poachers, and of course the one who plays the niece is played by Natalie Wood, who, by the way, I just saw the Natalie Wood documentary on HBO. Pretty decent doc. Anyway, of course, you got Vera Miles from Psycho fame was terrific in this. Really decent. Like, I guess you could say it was like John Wayne's Taken of. It was like the Taken of that era. Like Taken was a Western movie instead of a straight up action film. Lots of movies you could tell was influenced by The Searchers. Natalie Wood and John Wayne were both terrific. I mean, you got John Wayne on a quest to try to find his kidnapped niece, and I mean, heck, even Paul Schrader and Martin Scorsese will actually tell you that the movie Taxi Driver, that their film Taxi Driver was actually influenced by this. So there's a little tidbit for you there too. But if you guys haven't really seen The Searcher, go check that one out. Oh, not to mention you got Jeffrey Hunter in it, so what else you cast for there? Alright. Now, my number 1 favorite John Wayne movie of all time. Lots of people probably say Searcher is their favorite, but my favorite is literally the original True Grit, directed by Henry Hathaway. Starring this U.S. Marshal named Rooster Cogburn. Portrayed by John Wayne, who is hired by this 14-year-old girl, played by Kim Darby, to track down the. to track down the malicious Tom Chaney, played by Jeff Corey, for killing her father. You also got a few other folks like Robert Duvall and Dennis Hopper was all in this. The original True Grit. Well, I admit most people actually even prefer the Coen Brothers directed remake with Jeff Bridges. The original still holds up. It's really terrific. I mean, they also did like a Rooster Cogburn film, after this as well. And I believe John Wayne actually scored and I believe John Wayne actually won an Oscar for this, if I'm not mistaken. I gotta double check that. But the original True Grit is terrific. Probably one of the best Western movies there ever was. Probably one of John Wayne's coolest roles. I mean, he was such a badass, rocking the eye patch and all that. Kim Darby, who hasn't really broke out much since True Grit, the original True Grit, but True Grit is terrific. If you guys haven't really seen the original True Grit, go check it out. And the Coen Brothers one isn't all that bad either. All right, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick run. 10, Stagecoach. 9, The Shootist. 8, The Longest Day. 7, Rio Grande. 6, The Man Who Shot Liberty. 5, Rio Bravo. 4, Red River. 3, The Quiet Man. 2, The Searcher. And 1, True Grit. Now, there's loads of other John Wayne movies I probably could have added. Let's see. El Dorado's a pretty decent one. McLintock Talk is a pretty good one. Let's see. Of course, Rooster Cogburn was actually a pretty good film. You had Big Jake, The Alamo, The Cowboys. He's been a pretty good one, but I gotta go because my computer's about 1 step closer to time. Yep, 10%. It's about that. Let me leave it to you guys. What are some of your favorite John Wayne movies? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This is Timu signing off.